So our company, we're a global company, but we're kind of about ACOM divided by 1,000, that kind of global company. And we are located based in California, but throughout all the continents. We essentially follow the red zone. That's what we are. This is a picture. This is a picture looking at Christchurch in 2010. And as you know, there was an earthquake in 2011. And today, the place looks like this. It's desert. And let me show you one picture why this happened. Now this building, it's a 26-story building. It's actually pretty new. It's 1995s. But you can see a little kink in the building. What happened here is 3 columns at the 11th level ruptured. And that caused a little tilt like that. No one died, but this building is total loss. But this actually met the intent of International Building Code. Today, if you hire the best engineers in the whole world and tell them that they follow the, say, minimum building code, this is the expectation of a performance. No one's going to die, but building may not be usable. And that's why they lost about 1,800 buildings out of 2,400 buildings in downtown Christchurch. Now, why this happened? There's a couple of things going on. This is actually interesting. In New Zealand, insurance is a truly part of a culture. We notice over 90% of our buildings had the almost 100% coverage, which means if you lose one, you can get the full money back. And that is extremely rare. For example, California, only 9% of the, say, building stock is being insured in that way, or even less. So when that happens, you tend to just claim the insurance. You don't want to really fix them. You just get some new building. You know, that's what I do. If I hit my car, and if I get the full insurance for my car, and I get a new car, right? You know, kind of like that. It's just human nature. So that's the one of the reasons. And as I say, it's over-reliant on some building code. Now, so we talk about building code, international building code, and so on, and that is important to save lives. But once come to provide the resiliency in a community or cities or country, that just following a minimum building code is just not good enough, as you can see here. You have to do a little bit more. Now, average, if you spend about 2%, about 3% tops for the construction cost, you can actually create the resilient building, believe it or not. Such a little amount of money. And that actually the most important part of it. And New Zealand, now they have is one of the best earthquake structure engineers in the world, by the way, and the best building codes, and the great contractors, and a good license system, all that stuff. But risk reduction was never considered seriously. Because last major urban earthquake they had in New Zealand is 1931. You know, it's always kind of like that. That resiliency stuff, DRR stuff happening after that major disaster. You know, it's really unfortunate, but it's always like that. And one more thing, I didn't think I thought government can do a little bit better was the local government was kind of out of a picture because it was a major emergency, and you saw a lot of those high-rise buildings tilted like that. It's an extremely dangerous condition. So federal government took over, the central government took over. Now once that happened, it's really difficult for the reconstruction. So for the safety, they create a red zone in the whole downtown for almost a year. It's really difficult to get into downtown, CBD, that central business district at the time. And if you do that, then private sector cannot invest back to build back their investment. If you get the money, especially after the insurance payer, they'll be gone. Because it's too much risky to hang out in a place like that, you know? It's really important to have this public and private sector investment community be really collaborate intimately to make this happen. As you said, the 90% of the assets belong to the private sector. Without private sector, there is no reconstruction, there is no recovery, nothing. You may have the highway rebuilt, but you don't going to have no buildings or commercial buildings or houses even. So private sector recovery component is extremely critical because that's where the thing is. Now, this is a picture I took. It's not a picture in World War II here. This is the 2010 earthquake in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. This magnitude 7 event killed almost 300,000 people. And let me show you the next slides. So here what we did is we partnered with the UNOPS to assess this whole city, about 430,000 buildings out there. And out of 430,000 buildings, 200,000 are damaged, which is shown either yellow or red dots. 200,000 is the red or yellow dots. And you might want to go back. Okay, it's good. Now, so out of 200,000 does damage, right? Then what happened here is the reconstruction of it. Public sector rebuilt about 12,000 of these. What happened to the rest of it, 100,000 to 150,000 buildings? Well, private sector took over. They actually did it. So it was actually a beautiful program. We did, so again, we partnered with the UNOPS and funded by the USAID and the World Bank and people like that. And they actually we set up the kind of a ton about how to fix those buildings. We worked with the local masons and the contractors, trained them up with the UNOPS. And now that the private sector started emulating what we're doing now, they figured, hey, we can fix it. We can fix by local mason. We can fix by the cost effectively. It was about $2,000 per house. So it was much cheaper than that temporary shelter that UN was providing at the time. So that's how the actually Port-au-Prince is rebuilt. And today, a place looks like this. Now that hotel is the new construction. It's built right after the earthquake, actually completed. And as the guy said, the did sell from the island was one of the biggest investors, and they just saw the opportunity to invest. Now, disaster does create opportunities. It does. And it's not a bad way, because you need an investment. You need an investment from both internationally and domestically. So that disaster in the Port-au-Prince created opportunity for a lot of international and domestic investment. Today, if you go there, you're not going to see not much of a scar at all from this incredible disaster. Killed 300,000 people. You're going to see probably like 6 to 7 international hotels like that. And if you go to the poor communities, you're going to see that the masons are building with this 135-degree hook in concrete, which is actually a really important concept, the engineering point of view, just create a much safer, better construction. You know, so it is definitely possible, the combination of a public sector and how private sector involved working together, you can make some good results out there. So option for managing seismic risk by private sector, do nothing. That's most of the time people use the option, by the way. And second option is buy a whole bunch of insurance, and hopefully the insurance is going to cover you. Third one is reduce the risk by reduce actually building and structure by the engineering and the construction. But to me, right solution is balance 1, 2, and 3. Some cases, believe it or not, do nothing is actually right solution, by the way. Or just, that sometimes does work that way. Because you can fix everything. Just simply, either private sector or public sector do not have money to fix everything. You know, you're going to have to pick the battles, actually. And that's how things be done. Pick the battles to how to insure it, and pick the battle of how to fix it. And you balance all that. So this is one example of the case study. And this facility, actually engineered by my partners right before the 1994 earthquake. That's why it's kind of cool about it, because how the engineering actually worked and tested by that real earthquake. So this was a big beer manufacturer in downtown LA. At the time, value was $1.3 billion. That's it's a big facility, and built in 1954. So it's a lot of old concrete and very dangerous. So what they did is went through the whole campus. In this case, they prioritized based on the potential damage of each building and associated with financial loss, we call probable maximal loss. So you can see the red one is a potential 50% of a loss, and the green is less than 10%. That's how I kind of prioritize it. Then at the working with the facility managers, they can kind of pick and choose which one they should fix it and how much insurance they have to buy. So it's a really the combination of do nothing, buy insurance, and fixing it to optimize that risk. You cannot eliminate the risk, but you can optimize the risk. So they do some engineering here and there, and here's the results. And it went through the earthquake, this facility, and the plant was back in operation in 4 days after this major earthquake in 1994. You know, this means not only this company was able to provide, protect their revenue source and so on, which is actually quite a bit. They estimate almost $1 billion potential savings they made. But also, actually more importantly, by the way, this facility provide that employment, salary, income to that community. That is actually probably one of the most important things on disaster recovery. Income. You know, that's really important. And I'm talking about big corporation here, but actually big corporation occupies only at the less than 5% most of the time for the employment. Most of them come from the small and mid-sized businesses. That risk reduction in a small to mid-sized business is critical, and investment is critical. And this plant was back in operation in 4 days, and the construction cost was $10 million. So you see the benefit, which is at the $1 billion savings, and the cost was $10 million, factorable 100. It's just unbelievable in a way how they make money in this way. So yes, seismic or disaster risk reduction is profitable, as you can see, and be able to also provide the employment that is so critical, and working with the government to create the opportunity for the investors, both domestically, internationally, to invest right after the disaster, and that is extremely critical for the right recoveries. That's it. Thank you very much.